Well, first off, it's nice to meet you via
Hi.
Skype. But we were just kind of like talking before you Skyped us, and I guess this is a good segue since you said he knows like
Oh,
the mass love. I was like wondering the
where the name came from.
There's a Bette Midler movie called "Isn't She Fabulous?" I
Isn't she
think, with
lovely?
Nathan Lane. Isn't she lovely?
Yes.
It was one of those. And there's a scene where we were discussing fame, and there's a scene in the film where she loses it because she's a struggling actor trying to make a career for herself. I need love, and he says to her, "But I love you," and she says, "I know you do, darling, but I need mass love."
Yeah, that's what it is.
So yeah, it's an okay movie.
Mhm.
I like it. Good stupid part. Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
I'm sure
So
most people haven't seen it.
so I guess for this newest project, I guess how do you think of like an idea? I guess like do you guys have like a concept that you guys grow into each of the tracks, or does it kind of just come out organically and then you just have that set number of tracks?
Well, have you spoken to him at all
No,
about
not
form?
really. Well, yeah, we've talked about February album writing month. So he knows that we write everything in February, but we don't really have no, we don't have a concept going in. Like,
I mean, yes and no. It changes every year. Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a case of us like putting our heads together in January and going, okay, this year, this is
yeah,
the game
no.
plan. There'll be one of these and one of these, then two of those, and then one for no. It's not. It's more to do with just what happens on the day. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think this year, as with every year, there've been some minor changes in that. Um, we've definitely tried to do a couple that have had some more substantive meaning to them.
hmm
Not to say that the music previous to this was meaningless,
Mhm.
but there are a couple of social commentary tracks on the new
hmm
album, or are going to be.
He
Mhm.
wrote those lyrics. That's why.
In the past, it's been mostly you do the production and she does like the songwriting in terms of like
Yes,
lyrics.
and yes and no. I think it's fair to say that Lauren normally writes most of the lyrics.
Mhm.
Um, but sometimes she'll write lyrics and melody and then send me just that, and then I'll produce around it. Or
Mhm.
sometimes I'll write an arrangement and send it to her and see if it sparks anything. And gradually there's a blurring that happens with that process. The first year it was mostly the one way. The second year there was a lot more of the other way. And this
hmm
year there's just been some back and forth. I mean, we have a sort of an agreement that everything is shared equally,
Mhm.
and what that allows us to do is never have a pissy contest about who did more on any given track.
Mhm.
We can just play in the space, and what comes out is what comes out, and it's us. So I'm not going to say that any particular method gets more focused than any other. It's just whatever seems right. If you have something, bring it. Let's see where it goes. Not everything that we do works. You're listening to the most polished pieces of what comes out of the
hmm
process.
So, when you guys first started working together, I'm assuming it was probably exciting and, kind of a lot of like, figuring out how this method's going to work for you guys. How has that, I guess, working relationship changed over the years? Has it changed at all?
Yeah, we have like our own language now. It's true.
Do you want to speak to that a bit?
I don't think we ever really thought about the distance at all. We just started making stuff. Like I never thought
Yeah.
about it cuz I had been collaborating with people online for years already. So, I don't know. You go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not there's never really been an issue of process. I mean, I initially approached Lauren when we Lauren.
Don't change the
I
way
like your
you
This is
American
actually
pronounce
the
it.
point.
But yeah,
No, it's good. It's good to check these things because people make assumptions about how things are pronounced, and those
Mocking
assumptions
me
roll
because
for
of the
years,
Bukes. The
and then
Bukes
they
thing.
become things.
Now, like, my whole family calls him that. And, like,
my Bukes.
yeah.
Oh.
It was an accident.
So
First. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're assuming a level of organization that just isn't there.
Yeah. Probably. It's just, it comes really naturally, all of it.
I think the downsides are that I'd say 99% of our communication is via Facebook messaging, and that's largely because our time zones are just different. So you'll like say something, and then there might be like a couple of hours between responses, and then like a little flurry of messages. And text is devoid of context and emotion, so there's a lot of room for misinterpretation. So I think when we fight,
which
which
has only
happened.
happened like once. That was like the only time, and it was that.
It's exacerbated by losing the nuance that comes with face-to-face communication.
Yeah.
mhm.
The pros of the method are that our time availability is very different. I am a full-time writer for print media, and I work from home, and I have 2 kids.
Mhm.
So my time availability is nil
Mhm.
with some gaps. If we could only work together when we were both actually available, this wouldn't happen.
Mhm.
So the method allows us to use whatever time is available at our disposal. So that's a plus. I mean, it's made possible by the internet. I mean, if we were trying to do a project like this in the 1990s, God, it would involve shipping DAT tapes in the mail. It would have taken years to get anywhere.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nice for you.
I like it. I prefer working with people over the internet. I think it's easier.
Just on the basis of having worked with a lot of artists in studio in my time, I know the dynamic is very different. But this works for me because even even back in the day when I ran studios, I used to like to kick the artist out. Like, you've done your bit and your input is valued. Now fuck off. I need time. Just sit with this, and you can come back and comment in like 2 hours. Thank you. You see, and this gives me the best of that because she literally cannot interfere until I'm ready for her to hear where I've gone.
So it kind of like plays to your strengths of how you guys kind of are as people too, like as artists and how you work with people.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we're a lot alike.
Yeah. Reclusive nerds.
Yeah.
Just so, do you feel like you guys know each other a little like better from this, like than ever meeting each other in person?
Probably. Well, I don't know. Depends.
Hard to say. I mean, after 5 and a bit years of working together on and off, I do feel like, I mean, I think it's fair to say we're friends. This has gone beyond a personal collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk exclusively about the music. Yeah.
I mean, we talk like every day, so
I guess like keeping the relationship fresh too. Do you guys try to include, I guess, different instruments or production methods, or do you try to make it more complicated in a way to keep yourself, not stagnant?
this year I feel like we did. You
I
started
think
adding
every
like
year we do.
yeah.
It's like if you listen, I don't know how much of our older material you've heard, but like on the first album, it's very schizophrenic. There's a lot of different styles in play.
Hip hop,
We don't.
funk.
Yeah, just it's all over the place, and it's both a plus and a minus in the sense that Everyone reacts to different tracks more. So I think that if we were doing this from a perspective of wanting to make the most commercially viable music possible, then we fucked up because because we didn't. We just went wherever we felt like, and like there's even 2 tracks on the first album that are pretty much funk. And it's just because that's sort of like the direction that the song wanted to go. The second album, it feels to me anyway more like we've distilled it a bit, and we're closer to having a uniform sound that's recognizably what we do. But then again, now with this third album that we're working on at the moment, once again, we are all over the shop. There's some world music in it.
New age. Call it new age. It's not world music.
Really?
Isn't it the same?
It's hard to know. It's hard to know.
I like it though.
Yeah. So it's Lauren will send me tracks that she thinks are cool, and most of the time she's right. And then I'll send her track that I think are cool, and she'd be like, "Nah, no, man,
That's not true."
No."
He's
and
lying.
that was cool like 5 years ago.
Oh well, yeah. When you send me like dubstep.
So I guess in that way it plays to that advantage of like you guys kind of get time to sit with it before you talk to each other about it, and kind of like I guess don't invade. Kind of you're not very intrusive unless you guys get in a fight.
No, he'll like send me something and then we don't talk about it. We just send what we have finished when it's ready, pretty much.
Yeah.
So how much are you involved in post-production? Like
I don't do anything really. I mean, I re-record the vocals and I'll add like.
Not true. She'll send me little essays.
Oh yeah,
like, yeah, this is good. That's where is that part that you took out that I care so much about? And then we'll fight about it, and I'll be like, but I took it out because like it sucked. Except I won't say that. And then she'll keep asking about it, and I'll keep not doing it, and eventually I'll put it back in, and then it works.
But that's rare that we like disagree on taking something out. Or
no, the thing is that 99% of the time we are of the same mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so. She's totally involved. She's not afraid to speak her mind.
I fight for
she knows by now that my reactions are extreme, but normal.
It's March, and you guys just got done with your newest one.
14 songs.
How much have you like gotten into it? Like, is there a name for it, or
yes.
I guess what can you like share about this newest project that you guys have worked on?
It's not finished.
Yeah,
but
I guess
I'm proud.
What are you proud of?
I'm just every year I'm proud that I can pull off writing 14 songs in a month. Just that whole thing is so stressful to me, but they all ended up sounding good this year, which last year we had some that we didn't like at all. So, yeah. I think this next album
That's true. Even the weakest ones, I mean, because there's definitely a ranking of strength, but even the weakest ones this year are credible. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing that we did this year that I would specifically want to remove from the running. We're not done yet. It was a particularly stressful month because of various reasons, but that has made trying to do form at the same time is just really next to impossible.
But we did it.
So I didn't.
Form.
I don't think we. I really.
Album right
yeah.
Now. Sorry, he wants to write it down.
Yeah. So that's the name of the new one.
Form. You say it weird. It sounds like form. Form.
Because I didn't actually think we were going to make 14. I thought this would be the first year that we don't do it. But we're going to carry on. There's a couple of songs that have been floating for years now that are going to get done. and just whatever else extra we come up with. I don't know if we'll get to a full double album length, but we will at the very least fill up a 74-minute CD to its maximum, which is something we haven't done before. I think the first one was just over 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This one is at 50 minutes before post-production, so...
At least be more than 12 this year, which I was unhappy about on the last album.
Yeah.
It's. I feel like if you're going to release an album, it needs to be proper album length.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, what is it? It's an EP with some dressing. There's nothing wrong.
We both really like 80s pop, like synth pop, and just that 80s sound. And we both like hip hop for the bass, right?
But just not easy.
Yeah, he doesn't like top 40 hip hop, which is understandable. It's not for everybody.
What are some of your big influences?
Where Lauren likes to listen to a lot of commercial edge, I tend to listen to a lot of weirder stuff or more acoustic stuff in my off time. Yesterday, for example, what did we have on? We had Passenger on. We had Best of John Denver on. I shit you not.
If you've heard Archetype, like usually the first track that we write for each album, or at least the past two albums, has been really cinematic. So we both like Howard Shore and Bear McCreary, like soundtrack musicians too. So
Yeah.
One thing that I get from like your music is like you guys have like a really good like atmosphere. I guess that's maybe from like a production standpoint, but is that something, bringing up the cinematic, that's like what kind of like led me to this question, like how much atmosphere are you trying to create in that listening experience? Like, do you, I guess when you're listening to it, to I guess to that final product?
He doesn't know how to answer that.
Check each other in terms of overproducing or underproducing?
I don't know what overproducing is.
It's funny you say that because it's something that does bug me. I go overboard quite a lot.
We wrote a song about it this year, kinda.
Sort of, yeah. I was at one stage of my career trying to break into film scoring. I don't know if I would want to go there anymore, purely because I think I make a lot more money writing text than I would, in the current state of the industry, be able to command doing music, because how things have gone is there used to be a low end of the market, a middle end of the market, and then the high end, which is where guys like Hans Zimmer and all those guys play. And the nature of the internet has meant that there is no low end of the market. There is no middle end of the market anymore. There is like Hans Zimmer and fuck all else. So I simply don't have the time or the legwork that it would take to break in at the top. So I've kind of let go of that. But I love that kind of music. And I've written a fair amount of it, and it just... all of my favorite movies have really, really evocative soundtracks. And I spend a lot of time and money building up sounds that you can use for those kind of environments, specifically orchestra sounds. So I think just my standard writing palette has in it a lot more drama than is called for most of the time.
I love it though.
So do you play off that heavily for your singing? And like, I guess if he sends you a track that you are, I guess, curating a melody to or something like that, or
definitely. Like when you sent me to War, I knew that piece had to be huge. Like it needed a big belty melody, and he definitely when he sends me instrumentals first, he sets the tone of the track, definitely.
So I guess vice versa, do you still have that kind of like cinematic kind of feel to how, I guess, making music to her melody and lyrics? Or is it kind of
Yes, but I've been trying to pull back. Just over the last year, um, I've been trying to achieve more with less. And I think it comes because from a technical perspective, I've been thinking a lot more about mastering, just as in terms of like a mathematical problem that needs solving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and too much stuff going on exhausts the ear. I think the track that really made me aware of it is who's the fucking artist? The song is called Latch.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now
It was
yeah.
I've
really,
got you.
really,
Disclosure.
really freaking
Yeah,
popular.
Disclosure.
And the mix on that track is extraordinary. It is such. I'm not talking about from a musical perspective. I'm talking sonically. That thing is a work of art, and it is so well mastered, and it is so loud, and yet so clean. And I was like, what is going on here that they've achieved this so well? And the answer is there's almost fuck all going on. There's a vocal, a beat, and a little bass line, and that's pretty much it. Whereas I generally have like about 64 to 90 individual tracks flying around all over the place. It's a mess. And when you have so much less going on, it's much easier to place things within a sonic spectrum where they all have a place, can be heard, and don't crush each other. So this year, I've really been trying to achieve the same functional effects with less layers, and I think that it's working very well.
So
Particularly on songs like Overboard, what's there? There's a beat.
Heavy synth.
There's an ARP
ARP.
so
and a bass element.
So-
That's it. And the track is huge. It's huge.
That's one of the new ones
yeah.
this year.
So for Fawn
Mhm.
isn't okay. Is that really apparent? Like, I guess from your perspective, being like the other person of the collaboration, that kind of less is more mentality.
I haven't noticed it in every track, but I don't really notice that kind of stuff. So I may just be not seeing it. Don't laugh at me. I don't have an ear for production. I will admit it. I don't. I feel like I've gotten better since I've known you, but God, you can't trust me to mix anything.
So it sounds though that, like, at least from your standpoint, that is something that you've really consciously tried to achieve in this newer album that you guys have just written, is like, kind of refining your methods.
It's also because your time is so limited on a project like Mom that you need to get where you're going a lot faster. And I'm amazed that we got as far as we did in year one. Actually, by rights we shouldn't have. But like I set up templates inside my workstation so that we can just start. And so I'll have like an 808, then I'll have a couple of synths that I know and trust, and I'll have all the routing pre-done so that they're going to come out in their own mix buses, so that when I start playing drums, I know that they're going to come out in this channel here. The processes that one might use available, although not turned on. And if you use that as your starting point, then when you want to achieve stuff, you can get there a lot faster. Like if I know I'm going to need orchestral sounds, I've got Contact set up with a whole bunch of things, so I can just drag it and drop it in, and all the standard mapping is pre-done, and it's ready to go. So I've now forgotten what the fuck the question was.
Well, we can go on to the next one, and so I guess just from your guys' relationships over the past 6 years, like, what's kind of some 5?
Yeah, I think it's been 5, right? When was the first email? Was it 2009 or 2010? I don't know.
You want me to look it up?
No, God, it would take forever.
But like, I guess anecdotally, like, what has like been some like fun moments in your guys' like relationship besides like releasing, like, because you guys have said that you.
I think it was after working for 3 years together, we had
Oh,
our very
yeah.
first face-to-face Skype call in front of a room full of people, at which point she discovered she doesn't know how to pronounce my name,
Which we
despite
talked
the fact
about.
that we've worked for so long.
But like, what have been some of the other highlights?
We've
Like-
sent each other things before. Like, I sent you a big box of Starbucks coffee.
Oh my God,
That's a good
yes.
story.
Oh, it's pretty cool. I think other highlight moments were when just after we released the first album and we were watching it slowly gain legs. You know, when I don't know if you use Bandcamp at all,
I do.
but
Yeah.
it offers very real time data on what's happening. Like services like CD Baby, your stats are a month or two delayed, depending on various factors. But we were watching sales happen, and then we started to see sales from people that we didn't know.
Mm-hmm. In other countries, that was the big thing. Like,
Yeah, so that was a really cool moment for us as a band because I mean, like when you release an album, you expect your immediate family to like and share it. And then you kind of expect your immediate social circle to like it, and maybe somebody that you went to school with to like it out of pity. But when it starts being adopted by, even in a small way, by people that you have never met or interacted with at all, that kind of confirms that, yeah, okay, we've done something that people are feeling. And the first time that happened was very exciting. And then when it got stolen,
yeah, I told him
that was
about
actually
that.
very
The
cool.
Russian pirators. It's been Russia and China, right, where it was pirated. Yeah. But
quite
this
extensively.
album, Archetype
Yeah, the
hasn't been
Russians
pirated
got hold
yet.
of it, and in South America, some dude wrote for me from there, and he was like, "Dude, I just pirated your album. It's really cool." I'm like,
I don't know how to
Thank
respond
you.
to you. Thanks. So
I thought that was kind of ballsy.
Yeah.
having people respond, to what you guys are putting out, people from two different areas, like to this day, and seeing like some following build, like, is that what keeps you guys going besides the creative challenges?
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, no.
I think for me, look, Laura and I actually have different motivations for doing this.
No, not completely.
There is a lot of overlap. There is a lot of overlap.
Yes.
But I think for me, I'm not as interested in the commercial success as she maybe is. Maybe because, being in the production end of it, I'm not spotlight in any case. So it's not an issue for me in the same way. For me, the making is where the fun is, and the excitement and the joy. And when Lauren and I work together, there is a crazy energy, and it's really entertaining and fun, and there's an energy and a flow. And for me, that's what's attractive about the whole process. That's where my enjoyment of this lives. It's kind of like when the album's done, it's like, okay, what are we doing next?
That's it. That's interesting too, because like with the Mass Love name, and like where that from your perspective, that's not where the Mass Love kind of comes from. I guess the Mass Love is the challenge and the production in itself.
Which I love too. I'm just saying I wouldn't be opposed to hearing myself on some commercials. And you wouldn't be opposed to those royalty checks, so shut your mouth.
It's not the driver for me. Maybe when I was sort of 18 and 19 and I thought I was going to be a pop star. A little bit. But it's never... It doesn't appeal to me. I've worked with a lot of artists over my career, and that end of it has never been it looks like a horribly, horribly stressful job, and I've watched
Yeah.
it ruin people's lives even as they became incredibly successful. And it doesn't appeal to me from the same kind of standpoint. I mean, yes, I would love us to achieve a wider audience. Let me put it that way.
Mhm.
It would be nice if more people listen to our stuff. But if I was doing it solely for that reason, I don't think we'd be making the same kind of music at all.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, not at all.
So,
This is music. Yeah.
how
Carry
long
on.
do you see this relationship? Like, is this just
For life.
Yeah, is it for
That's what we say. Mass love for life.
I think that the answer to that question is really defined by how much skin Lauren has, because
You
she
think it's gonna be
got
me
a
that
tattoo
leaves?
of
Yeah,
first
right.
album art on her shoulder, and I think she's considering getting a tattoo of the new album art,
I do.
either
I
on her
have the
other
first
shoulder
album.
or somewhere. And if that continues, then
So literally,
I think-
how much skin I have? Okay.
in time we're gonna run out of skin.
I don't want every album cover, just the first 3. And the third
You
one
see,
does have
it's
a
already
name.
it's gone
Okay.
from
It's
one.
phenotype.
It's gone from 1 to 3 already.
I'll stop there.
So,
So, like, we were talking about maybe doing a concept like once the first 3 are done, maybe doing a concept whereby the next 3 are actually one interconnected image. Where if you take the booklets out of the CDs and line them up, they make a whole image.
Mhm.
So she could start getting that done
God,
across
no,
shoulder
thank you.
blades, and then
I don't want to be covered.
so is this truly though? Like, until like we kind of joked about it, like enough or how much skin she has, but like, is this something that you really foresee like next 5 years? Like you could like continuing more and more doing.
I really enjoy February. It's my favorite month of the year. We have a really good working relationship, and unless something happens that would fuck that up, like one of our deaths, I think would be.
That might put a stall in
Yeah,
the working relationship.
Yeah,
I'm the Black
but you
Widow
know, who
songstress.
knows?
Watch out.
It's like I have enough of her vocals that I could probably chop them up and put them in anodyne and change
I'm
them
not
around a
gonna
bit,
die
so I could probably
first.
squeeze like an album or so out after she was gone.
God. You're already planning my death. What the hell?
Oh, I'm making allowance for possible scenarios. So let me say,
It's
Lauren's death plus 2 years.
I like it. But yeah, definitely. 5 years, another 5, then another 5.
It's I think because the focus is not really on desperately trying to make as much money as possible out of this,
Mhm.
and because it's so much of an enjoyment and a playing around thing, and because there is a constant growth and change in the music that we make, I don't see a reason for us to stop at this point.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's roll. See where we go.
Do you have any plans to meet each other in the future?
We tried making plans, and then you had another baby.
Yeah, she was supposed to come out
This year, we were supposed to write the album together.
To be honest, I'm kind of slightly relieved that didn't happen because
It
with the
couldn't have
crazy
happened.
tension that was happening there, it would have been too much. I'm sure that'll happen at some point, whether she comes over here or I go over there. 1 year, it'll happen. It's not essential to our process.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think it's a requirement. Why fix something that's not broke?
Yeah.
It might make it much better. It might destroy the relationship completely. Who
There's no
knows?
way. No, it would work.
So, what do you think your guys' working relationship says about the age we live in and music?
You
Today.
can do it anywhere with no resources. Pretty much.
Yeah, back in the day, this would have been impossible, completely impossible. You needed a room full of gear, which you don't anymore. Now you can get by with a laptop and a bunch of pirated software. I mean, I I am a good boy now, and now I own licenses for all the software I use.
Yeah,
But that
you're
wasn't
watching.
so.
Yeah. Someone's watching.
um, so the technology has made the recording possible. The internet has made the distribution possible in ways that just, you prior to the internet, you had to freaking know the right people, and you had to get them drunk regularly and give them gifts and make them laugh. The whole previous structure was, however it described itself, it was based on bribery and making people like you. And if you weren't good at those things and didn't have the resources, you just weren't going to get anywhere. Self-releasing was about pressing some discs at massive cost and trying to sell them out of your car boot. Whereas these days, who uses CDs anymore?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people have talked about putting their albums on flash sticks and selling them at gigs. No one wants them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I buy your branded flash stick at your gig, I've got to go and take it to a machine and then transfer it onto my phone so that I can listen to it. Or I could just go, there, now I have it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
The internet has democratized that entire process, and it's given us a much more direct conduit between fans and artists than has ever existed before. I mean, if you liked a band in even as late as last decade, your chance of interacting with them actually was fairly low, whereas now you can follow them on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
you can send them email, you can like them on Facebook and follow what they're up to. Our fan base is not large, but it's personal. Every time we make a sale, just about, I make sure to write to that person and let them know just how significant that is for us. And it's not so much from a financial perspective as we care to an irrational degree about the music that we make.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone is willing to reach into their wallet and express their appreciation financially, that is meaningful. Particularly when we don't put a limit. We ask for $10 because I think that's fair. But if someone wants to pay more, they can. And some people express their appreciation to a foolish degree.
Yeah, it's true. That's why I love Bandcamp.
What's the most foolish?
Do you?
To date, I think $100 that someone paid for it.
Yeah.
And $100. What is $100? It's not really a crazy amount of money, but it actually is when it's a statement of overpay.
Mm-hmm.
I like this so much that I bought it 10 fucking times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yes, it bought some groceries, but more than that, it really. Thank you. You liked it that much? Wow, cool. Because so do we.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, I guess just last question, just things that you'd want people to know. This kind of open-ended for anything that you would want to add, like that maybe I haven't asked about, but what would you want people to know about what you do, and I guess what to take away from it?
God, I don't know. I don't think about these things.
Because that's like a heavy question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll give you a second. So I guess just another question about phenotype.
Phenotype.
Yes. The name. Why did you choose phenotype? Are you guys just a huge fan of biology?
No, all the names have type after them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as nerds, I guess we should say science for life. But... No, but we kept with the type theme.
Yeah, you see, we were debating on what to call the first album. There were various ideas. We chose Prototype because we were kind of into robots a bit at the time, and I think there's even a song on the album called Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the idea was okay, I think we were going to call it Blueprint at one point, and then we were trying to see if there were related terms that we could throw out to continue the theme across other albums of robotics. But having this stuck on Prototype, which we thought worked well for the first one as well. So the first album is. Then the type thing kind of flowed from there. So you have your prototype, which is the first one, and then you have your archetype, which is the overriding thing, and now you've got the phenotype, which is the things that we are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It kind of got out of control.
We have a whole list of type names, and I picked phenotype because I like how it sounds.
Once the music gets like really boring, we'll call that album Stereotype.
That would be very clever.
And then you said the last one would be Not My Type.
Yeah.
The breakup album.
It's not a place that could go. I don't know. I figured that once we've got 3, I don't know if I really want to extend it beyond phenotype, because then it's like there's a set. We might branch off into a different concept.
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah, because it's done now. I don't like repeating, if possible.
Yeah, and you said 14 tracks will be on this next one.
There'll be more than 14 because we're going to keep writing this month.
Okay, so do you have a goal that you, like, is in mind that you'd like to reach, maybe, for each song?
I would like to fill a 74-minute CD to capacity.
All right.
So how many would that be?
I think because
20? No.
For me, the reason is like very silly, but when we finish tracks, I burn them to CD so I can listen to them in the car.
Yeah.
And I kind of get, you know what a CD looks like on the underside when you burn it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see which part of the disc is burnt and which isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I like watching it get closer and closer to the rim as the process goes along. And I would just love 1 year for it to get all the way there.
We could do it.
Yeah, so I don't think the goal is specifically to release a double album, but it's going to be long because we're going to have an extra month to write. Post-production will take however long it takes. Yeah, probably.
We'll finish
if we stay true to
28th.
current track record, it will release the day before Form 2016.
Well, I told him about the listening parties. It would be the day before the listening party.
So,
basic.
Yeah.
Do you guys have plans to try to have a listening party in your respective cities?
He doesn't do it. I hold the listening party.
The nearest city is probably about 4 hours.
He lives in the wilds of South Africa.
In the complete bush.
Yeah. So I hold
the nearest urban is definitely not a city. It's a town of population sort of 18,000, I think, people. It's pretty small. I can see it in the distance that way. It's about 8 kilometers away in a straight line. The nearest thing that could be kind of called a city in that it has a movie theater is Polokwane. And that's sort of 95 k's away. Johannesburg, where the big airport is a full 4.5 hour drive from here. Yeah. So when you say respective cities,
no, you'll never have a listening party. Probably it'll just be. You'll probably be at my listening party someday, hopefully. But
the listening parties that we have had have worked well because they've been small and intimate.
Mm-hmm. I just have my
the
house,
people so. There are people who are rabid fans and really want to be involved, and I think that's a good formula. And I don't really see a need to change that until such time as we have a fan base that wants it to be bigger than it is.
Mm-hmm. So eventually we'll move it to a venue. We'll
respond to demand rather than preempt it.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most realistic way of approaching it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the heavy-handed question.
I just feel like it's important that everyone knows that it really is. Every album is a labor of love. Like, we put so much work and emotion into it, and we love it. Like, we love the music we make.
We really do.
And I want people to know that.
Completely
That's
rest
where the
level.
name comes from for me, too.
Mm.
I don't
I mean,
know.
I've got a technical point I could raise, but I think it's kind of pathetic and bitchy. But it's a I think it speaks a little bit to our laziness, you could say.
Get it.
We are all about the music to the extent where we are terrible at the marketing.
Yeah. I don't know how to promote. I just don't know.
Well, I mean, most of the ways I know are quite expensive. How this has changed is that Facebook has inserted themselves into the process of our communications to a really intrusive degree, and they're so in the middle of it that we don't even see them anymore. It used to be that we all had email and we had mailing lists that people who liked us could sign up for.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow Facebook got in the way of that to the point where Facebook is just how most of us communicate with each other. But Facebook is actually not a viable alternative to what a mailing list used to be. Because you have the impression that if you like a band, you follow their page and you then sort of up to speed with what they do. And that's just not how it works at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because Facebook's business model is, or has been, take over communication and then put up a toll road. So when you post anything to Facebook, whether you're a band or whether you're an individual, 20% of your friends and or followers will be exposed to that post. And unless they instantly like and share it, that's as far as it goes. So I think particularly if you, as a music fan, like music that isn't super established, like if the band that you like is not Taylor Swift, then it really helps them out if you will like and or share content that they post, because you are then being very directly involved in spreading their message in a way that you never could have been in the past. And I think people don't realize how much it means to a band if you just merely click like, because if you see a post by them, you're one of a very small number of people who have actually seen that post. And this is because Facebook's business model is, if you would like your fan base to see your stuff, you must pay us money.
Boost.
I'm sure you know it yourself.
Yes. Pay us.
So I think that if you like a band, click like, please. It helps.
Share. That's what you want our fans to know.
Like
Share our shit, damn it.
And it's so annoying because I really, really hate Facebook posts that like include a call to action. Mm-hmm. If you feel the following way, like this. And I'm like, fuck you, I won't.
You can't tell me what to do.
But it's a double-edged sword because I do note that there's an increased need to market, but I suck at marketing. But I perceive this to be a hurdle because people like things, but they're not super passionate about them. And this is a small way that you can assist a band that you like to get known. And even yourself, Roberto, if you like bands, not just that, like and share.
I will. And I'll share what I write too. Share what I like, or share what I write.
Yeah, well, totally. Well, obviously, it'll be about us, right?
Yeah. No. But like,
I think Lauren's answer to it is much better, which is that for us, this is not really about anything other than our deep and passionate love of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We really do care that much about it. It causes us to lose tons of sleep. I mean, February is crazy.
Yeah.
We are up hours of the night. I mean, I am literally up from 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
The time now is currently 4:30 in the morning. Yay!
Well, I greatly appreciate you losing sleep for the interview.
Dude, well, most welcome. I make it sound extreme, but frankly, I am
He
up at
does
this
it every
hour
morning.
anyway.
Yeah, so
because
it's not a big deal.
I don't get any work done otherwise.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I think that's everything. If I have just a question that like just sparks that I'm like, I really want to know the answer, I'll email Lauren.
Yeah.
And I can give.
Can I just say thank you so much for taking an interest?
Yes,
No
thank
problem.
you.
I think
Yeah.
It's really cool of you to even want to sit down and talk
Yeah,
shit
that's
with
what
us.
I was telling him earlier.
No,
Like,
I
we
think
love
it's.
it.
I love meeting people that are just passionate about what they do. I think that's what gets me excited. So, and gets me excited about what I do. Do the album covers. You don't have the album art for Phenotype, right? You don't have that.
No,
Sorry.
but
We could do archetype and prototype.
Yeah, the album art.
And then the photo I shot, and if you have another photo.
Yeah, there's a picture of us that's been used. The one that was used in Nuvo would probably work. What are you making? Coffee. But yeah, I have some stuff I can send you. So.
All right, cool.
Okay, I don't think we need you anymore. So.
Thanks.
It was good talking to you.
That's due requirement. Roberto, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you for yours. Bye.
I'll talk to you later.